Hello again YouTube, Pan here, and as the air conditioner winds down in the background you join me for another hot summer night. And well, you can see what's on the desk. You know what time it is. That's right, it's another unboxing. And those who've been watching for a while will immediately recognise the immaculate packaging that comes from Mr. and Mrs. Backyard Bullion. And this is in fact my eagerly awaited parcel from the latest group order. Is it due to circumstances that I'll admit I don't entirely understand? The European Mint have actually split this order up into two parts. So basically everybody who ordered in the first week or so, that parcel was shipped almost immediately. This parcel arrived sometime last week, and it's actually quite good fun to be able to do an unboxing video whilst the order is still actually open. So this video is going to be dropping Friday lunchtime. So if you're watching it when it's hot off the press, you in fact still have 2 more weekends in which to place your orders if you want to take part in this. Backyard Bullion runs this all via the Silver forum, so I'll pop a link in the show notes below. And yeah, if you want to take part, then please do. It's a very, very hassle-free way of getting silver at a very, very good price. So without further ado, let's actually have a look at what we've got in it this time. Now, first of all, I do believe that in addition, BYB has put inside my latest piece from the Tetris Club. Haha! He's very considerately tied an extra knot in it. So that is looking just as lovely as ever. Look at that. And again we've got, you know, all the weights and the hallmark on the sides, and those lovely just natural ripples and gaps you get from the pour. But that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're here for, rather. And the rest of this parcel is actually going to be a little bit dull. And there we've got the certificate of authenticity for the Tetris piece. Very nice. And what we have here is we have 7 identical, bog standard, run-of-the-mill 2018 1-ounce Silver Britannias. And for somebody in the UK, these are the generic UK bullion. You know, so in America you have your Silver Eagles, in Canada it's the Maples, in South Africa it's the Krugerrands, in China it's the Pandas, etc. And these are basically not really collectible at all. They're minted in huge numbers, and it's just kind of more or less the cheapest way of getting capital gains tax-free silver. And we have here a very nice 7 ounces. Now I wasn't planning on taking part in this group order because frankly things are a little bit tight after Tokyo. But the silver price has dropped recently, and it fell to a very, very tempting £11.81 per ounce, spot price I mean. So I thought, okay, well I'm not going to do anything fancy, I'm just going to get some generic Britannias. So why 7? And I'll give you a clue, it's not just because that's how many I could afford. With these 7 Britannias, I think I should have just enough to fill this tube that I've been working on. So, excuse fingers, but I'm going to have a look at filling this up and then tipping out the tubes so you can have a look at them in all their glory. So this is my first completely full tube of coins, and I am it's a very satisfying weight. Tubes of coins were not something I'd ever encountered before I got into silver stacking or coin collecting. And when I first looked on the Roman website, I thought, oh, that's interesting, that's fascinating, the idea of, there's kind of this big lump of them, and it seemed like a very impressive thing to have. And so when I first got hold of a tube, I have to admit I was a little disappointed by how small it is. But again, this is kind of the thing that I guess I keep coming back to when I look at these, is that silver is really quite dense, and gold even more so. So even something that is, kind of easily fits in the hand like that has a very, very chunky feel, and there's a good amount of silver in there. Well, 25 ounces. So here, for example, we have a 2013. And this was back when they had the mirrored finish on it, so you can see, you can get a reflection of my camcorder in the background on this one. And this was actually back with the previous version of the... Is this the previous version? I think this is the current version. The trick, by the way, for spotting which portrait of the Queen you've got is not just kind of how old she looks, but also which tiara she's wearing. So this is the tiara of the girls of Great Britain and Ireland. Whereas another common one for recent coins is the one that is the tiara of George IV, which has sort of this recurring motif of the four different flowers of the United Kingdom. So the leek, the shamrock, the rose, and the thistle coming out of a crown. So anyway, so we have a 1/2013. We have, I think, 3 2017s. No, I tell a lie, in fact. 5 2017s. And some of these have started to tone a little bit. Doesn't really show up particularly well on the camera, but again, these are just generic standard bullion, so I'm really not fussed by that. If anything, I kind of prefer toning. It kind of brings out the detail a little more to my eye. So some 2017s. And then the rest, this big weighty handful of silver. This is all, kind of current year 2018 Britannias. And it's very satisfying. Having finally got to this point where I have this tube now completely full. Like, I feel like I can close up this tube and just put it to one side and it's done. Like, mission accomplished. Which is a very satisfying feeling. It's sort of psychologically very nice. And also it's kind of the kind of thing that kind of motivates you towards, kind of achieving a goal instead of getting a bit bored with something. If you have a clear goal in mind, but also an achievable one. So what actually prompted me to get this kind of tube finished off was basically the fact that I did a little bit of a, kind of back of an envelope, tossing up how much silver do I actually have at the moment, and I realised I had considerably more than 25 ounces. It's just that I kept getting distracted by shiny things, so I had only made it up to 18 ounces of Britannias, so when I wanted to get, a simple order done, and I didn't want to think too much about it, and I didn't want to pay too much over spot, and I wanted just some low premium, low spot price, cheap and cheerful silver, I thought, okay, let's actually just get this done and get the last few ounces. And here we go. And so the natural question is, what next? Well, first and foremost, I think I'm very likely going to get another empty tube and start working on filling that. I could maybe have a look at doing something different, like maybe maples or American Silver Eagles, or maybe even try and do like a tube of Philharmonics or something. But I think kind of getting Britannias is good, and getting lots of the same coin is good, because then it also makes it psychologically way easier to part with stuff when I'm done with it. If I don't have that strong sentimental value. But another thing I'm doing is I'm working on a completely different tube. Now this tube here is a little narrower than the Britannia tube, because what I'm using this one for is for my ongoing collection of silver crowns and equivalents. So here we've got, George III, George IV, and I have kind of maybe started having a bit of a thing for Morgan dollars. I'm not in love, no, it's just some silly phase I'm going through. Because basically I realised that I was getting enough of these a day. I sometimes like to have things in a little bit of a display, but it's getting far too crowded, and I was basically getting, kind of quite a number of duplicates. I had this is just so I've got a good number of Morgan dollars, and I don't need to have all of those on display. So I thought what I need somewhere to put them. And because one of the things I really find fascinating about these coins is that they're all, about the same size, about the same purity, about the same weight, it seemed to make perfect sense to me to get a tube to store them in. So this is what I am currently working on for my antique crown equivalents. And this one you can actually see from the shadow of it how full it is, so I've still got a good way to go on this one. But now that also means that I can buy antique coins and feel more like I'm actually building a stack rather than just, individual things to look pretty, which is, again, a nice feeling. So I'm going to carry on working on that one. And lastly, I think what I need to do is I need to get an even smaller tube for dealing with half crowns and half crown equivalents, so, things that are $half, because what I have currently is I have a little wooden box with some half crowns in, but it's a bit rattly, it's not quite as satisfying or as neat and tidy as doing the tubes. So that's where I'm at. I feel like I've achieved a milestone, so bully for that, good goal, nice achievement, and I know where I'm going next. So stacking goals and tubes, they're kind of a very nice way of looking at it, and it's it also makes it easier to kind of count and transport and think about things if it's just like a nice round number like that. What do you think? What are your stacking goals? How do you go about storing your coins? Let me know in the comments below, and I genuinely mean that. I've come to the realisation I don't really care about likes or anything like that, but actually the comment section is a really nice way of engaging with people, and it's probably the bit about these videos that I like the most, and also gives me, kind of the best feedback of what people are enjoying. So feel free to let me know your thoughts. Alright, that'll do for now. Like I say, if you're still interested in joining the group order, you have this weekend and next weekend, and please feel free to have a look in the link in the show notes if you want to pick up some silver of your own. Alright, bye for now.